Item 495. Raising existing structures. 1. Description. Raise existing structures as shown on the plans. 2. Materials. Furnish materials in accordance with the following. Item 420, concrete substructures. Item 421, hydraulic cement concrete. Item 442, metal for structures, and Item 434, bridge bearings. 3. Construction. Submit detailed plans to raise structure. Approval of plans is required before beginning raising work. A licensed professional engineer must sign and seal the plans. Clearly indicate the methods, materials, cribbing, false work or other supports, and equipment proposed. Repair or replace by an approved method any portions of the structure damaged by the raising operation. Approval of these plans does not relieve the contractor from responsibility for the completion of the work nor from liability for repair or replacement of damaged portions of the structure due to the methods approved and employed. 3.1 Preparation of plans. Apply vertical and horizontal loads such that the load capacities in bearing, shear, and flexure are not exceeded for any material or member carrying the load. Indicate jack positions and capacities and temporary hardware attachments on the plans. Avoid jacking against the bottom of the slab. Use a jack with a minimum capacity of 2 times the unfactored dead load. Higher jacking capacity may be required if a single member is to be lifted individually in a multi-girder unit. Prohibit traffic on the structure until the structure is supported by cribbing, false work, or the final supports. Provide suitable cribbing, false work, or other supports once the span or unit is resting on its final supports to prevent the various spans or units from dropping due to jack failure or other causes during the lifting operation. 3.2 Temporary support load factors. Factor dead, live, and horizontal loads, including dynamic load allowance, per TxDOT LRFD bridge design specifications. Design temporary supports to carry 2 times the dead load if traffic will not be allowed until permanent supports are in place. It is not necessary to factor dead, live, and horizontal loads if design capacities of temporary supports include minimum safety factors of 2.0. Documentation on proprietary or project-specific temporary supports must include acceptable loads and safety factors. 3.3 Raising of spans. Verify anchor bolts, closed joints, or other appurtenances do not restrict vertical movement before jacking. Jack spans from the existing bent cap or temporary false work unless otherwise shown on the plans. Loosen and remove all anchor bolt nuts or cut the anchor bolts to allow free vertical movement before raising. Replace all damaged or cut anchor bolts either by butt welding to existing bolts or by drilling into the existing concrete cap a minimum of 12 inches and grouting in new bolts. Do not damage the bent cap reinforcing steel when installing new anchor bolts. Replace all damaged or lost anchor bolt nuts. Weld in accordance with Item 448, Structural Field Welding. Provide adequate guides or force to ensure vertical lifting and prevent drifting of the structure during the jacking operation. Immediately cease jacking operation if lifting causes damage to any portion of the structure. Provide pedestals as shown on the plans. 3.3.1 Simple spans with an expansion joint in the deck at every bent. Raise the span by jacking as shown on the plans. Raise all of the beams on one side of the bent simultaneously. Do not raise one end of a simple span more than 4 inches before raising the opposite end. 3.3.2 Simple beam spans with a continuous deck over the bent. Raise all beams on both sides of the bent simultaneously by jacking according to the plans. Do not raise one end of a span more than 2 inches before raising the opposite end of the span. 3.3.3 Continuous beams. Raise the unit by jacking according to the approved plans. Raise all beams at a single bent simultaneously. The unit may be raised incrementally from bent to bent. Do not raise the unit more than 2 inches at any bent before raising it at the adjacent bents. 4. Measurement. This item will be measured by the lump sum. Material for permanent steel pedestals will be measured in accordance with item 442, metal for structures, and material for permanent concrete pedestals will be measured in accordance with item 420, concrete substructures. 5. Payment. The work performed and materials furnished in accordance with this item and measured as provided under measurement will be paid at the unit price bid for raising existing structure. This price is full compensation for shoring, false work, jacking, fabric pads or elastomeric bearings, labor, tools, and equipment and for all materials except new pedestals. Pedestals will be paid for in accordance with item 442, metal for structures, or item 420, concrete substructures.